welcome to a very, very wet and cold, well not wet actually, but it's certainly cold and windy, Derwent Park, but the pitch is in remarkable condition. The home team have just come out now. Whitehaven have been out a couple of minutes, and the home team line up. Number 1 is Martin Wilson, 2 Matthew Johnston, number 3 is Neil Fraser, 4 John Roper, 5 Stephen Dawes, 6 is Lucy Sione, 7 Lee Kiddy, 8 Matthew Tunstall, 9 Johnny Limmer, 10 is Dean Burgess, 11 is JT, 12 is Ricky Wright, and 13 is Brett Smith. The subs for town today: 14 Jamie Beaumont, 15 Alan McGuinness, 16 Tani Lavu, and 17 is Dean Vaughan. Haven line up: fullback is Gary Broadbent, Craig Calvert and David Seeds are on one wing, Wesley Wilson and Stephen Wood on the other. The halfbacks are Joel Penny and Stephen Kirkbride. The front row for Haven are Paul Davidson, Aaron Lester and David Fatulova. Second row, Brett McDermott and Howard Hill, and Craig Walsh blocks the scrum. We just kicked off there. I'll give you the Whitehaven subs in a sec, and that was well taken there by Workington player there. I thought he was going to let it go out on the full, but he decided to take it. But that's great tackling by Whitehaven. The Whitehaven subs are Leroy Joe, Chris McKinney, Carl Sice and Mark Cox. Referee is Mr Mick Dober from Wigan. So this is Workington with the first use of the ball. Oh, and the ball's come out, but it did go back, and I think it'll be 2 knock-ons here, so yeah. And Mick Dober's showing that, so... Oh, now we've got a Whitehaven player out injured here. I'm not sure who it is, but... certainly Stephen Wood went over there rather quick, so it could be Stephen's centre partner, Wesley Wilson. I think it actually is Wesley Wilson. I'm looking there at the lineup, and Stephen Wood's in splendid isolation here on the right wing. I didn't say anything untoward in the tackle. It's just, and certainly the Whitehaven players made nothing of it. It's just one of those things in rugby league. It's a hard game. Certainly filling up nicely here at Derwent Park. I'm looking across here from our vantage point, and I would imagine there must be knocking on 3,000. And there's still 1 or 2 latecomers coming in, and it was Wesley Wilson, and he's back on his feet. That's nice to see. Now this is a great chance here for Whitehaven. They're just 20 metres away from the town post, and that's Gary Broadbent up in attack. And Gary's got his headgear on, and I'm sure when Carl Sice comes on, he'll look the spitting image of him. So that was Paul Davidson there who drove that in. Oh, that's a lovely inside ball to David Fatulova, but superb tackling by the town forwards there, and they really knocked David back. Now this is Adam Lester from dummy half to Joel Penny. Oh no, it's a lovely ball there. In fact, it wasn't Joel Penny because it's Stephen Kirkbride with number 7 on his back today. And we've got a penalty here for Whitehaven, so just see what the referee gives it for. And he's saying that the Whitehaven man was pushed in the tackle. So they have a quick look round at the Whitehaven bench, and I think they're just going to go for touch by the look of it. In fact, they'll just... Yeah, well, he's just kicked it into touch, so got a nice, clean, fresh ball on. So this is Whitehaven here. Every chance of opening the scoring. 5 tackles left, and they're a matter of about 9 metres away from the town post. So this is Paul Davidson. So Whitehaven played down the centre at the moment, but I'm sure they'll spin it out wide any second now. Adam Lester plays it back to Stephen Kirkbride, and I think Stephen was in 2 minds there, but and I think Whitehaven have lost this ball. Now he's given 2 knock-ons here again, but this time he's given it to town. So yeah, I think it's a good decision. It looked as though the Whitehaven player knocked it forward, and then the town man knocked it forward. So it's fair dues, and it'd be interesting to see how Lucy Sione goes at standoff today. He certainly looks a big lad from where we are. He's got a head guard on as well. So now this is town through ex-Whitehaven favourite Neil Fraser. If you look through the team sheets on both sides, you'll see that there's quite a few players who've played for both sides. And that's great gang tackling there by Whitehaven, but oh, now then! Oh, this will be a walking try, I feel. And oh, but great tackling in the end. I thought Stephen Walsh, sorry, I will call him Stephen. I thought Craig Walsh was over there. No, that's a nice... Oh, no, that must be in now, yeah. And that was a nice offload there by Brett McDermott, who used to be a favourite over here. And the first pass came from the captain there, that was Aaron Lester, and Aaron's getting a few congratulations. But full marks to Brett McDermott for being in the right place at the right time. And they passed it out to the right centre, and Whitehaven get the first try. So after a matter of about probably 4 minutes, it's Town 0 and Whitehaven 4. Now looking at the flags, and they're all blowing against, in fact it's Joel Penny that's kicking. That surprises me. I thought it would have been Stephen Kirkbride. Well, he's judged the wind beautifully. Oh, and it just, well, that was certainly a good effort there, but I do apologise here. I'm afraid on the team sheet I've been given, we've got Joel Penny down here as 6 and Stephen Kirkbride is 7, but that was certainly Stephen Kirkbride, so the halfbacks have been swapped round. It's Joel Penny wearing 7 and Stephen Kirkbride wearing 6. So 4-0 to Haven. And Lucy Suwani is going to restart the game. Oh, and that was well taken there by Aaron Lester. It needed to be, because I'm pretty sure one bounce and that would have went over the dead ball line, and Whitehaven would have found themselves kicking off from underneath the sticks. Now this is Brett McDermott. A nice run by Brett, but great tackling there. And Workington have got quite a big pack out here today, and this is another penalty. It was a good tackle by JT, and then he spoiled it all by hanging onto the player. So Whitehaven have decided not to kick the touch. They'll just run it the first tackle. And the Whitehaven faithful below me are imploring the referee to... Oh, now this is Howard Hill. Howard's on a run here, but the ball's gone loose, and I think Town will pick this up. And they have. Or what's the touch judge? Touch judge has given a knock on. This will be head and feet to Whitehaven, I think. We'll have a look. Yeah, it is indeed. So Town look a bit nervous at the moment. They've really had no territory to talk of. They've been very much in their own half for the first 7 or 8 minutes of this game. So the scrum goes down, and it's only a matter of 40 metres away from the Town line. And that was David Seeds who came in from the opposite centre. And referee's telling Town to get back on side there. They were actually standing just in front of him. Now this is Aaron Lester, but good tackling again by Town. So Whitehaven not made a lot of progress in them first 2 tackles. Now this is Brett McDermott. Oh, and Brett McDermott was almost through. Certainly a dangerous player with the ball in his hands. And a marvellous tackler, as the Workington faithful know. Now Whitehaven laid off to the left. This is Craig Walsh to Howard Hill. And Howard Hill straightens up, but good tackling again. So there'll be a couple of tackles left. What will Whitehaven do? That's Joel Penny. Lays it back inside. Now I think the hand will go in the air, and it does, so it's final tackle. What will Whitehaven do here? They are kicking against the wind. Oh, and that ball's come loose. Oh, and it's still play on. And, oh, and in fact it's all on. Well, to be honest, I didn't think the Town player played at that, but the referee thought he did, and he's given it all on. Otherwise that would have been final tackle and hand over to Town, but now they're in real trouble here. Now this is Whitehaven with 4 tackles left. They're inside the 10-metre line. They're about 4 metres away from the Town posts. Gary Broadbent up at dummy half, lays it off to... Well, I just hesitated there because there was calls for a forward pass, and it did look a bit of a laboured pass. So Aaron Lester dummy half, lays it off to Craig Walsh. Oh, and that ball's gone loose and gone forward. So the Whitehaven coaching staff will not be happy with that passage of play there. It was very, very laboured. And Town with a very lucky let-off there. So still 4-0 to Haven. Probably played about 10 minutes. It was held up for 5 minutes this game due to crowd congestion. So he got kicked off about 3:05. So Town with the first tackle there, and that was Lee Kiddy. I think it'll be his first game for Town, although he may have played against the Cumberland Amateurs the other week. I'm not sure. I wasn't actually up at the game. Now this is Neil Fraser. But there's no real thrust here from Town at the moment. laid out to the wing, but that fares no better. And Whitehaven was slightly in front of the referee there. Oh no, that's a useful looking kick. But it's just unlucky there. It was about, well, literally 1 metre short of being a 40-20. I'm not sure who the touch judge is on this side, but certainly I know the one on the far side is my friend, Mr. Pete Meadows from Wigan. I've mentioned before in commentary, I met him in Australia for the Tri-Nations in 1999. So I'll maybe have a quick word with him when he changes ends at half-time. So this is Whitehaven. Scrum goes down 21 metres away from their own try line. And that was Howard Hill there who came up into the stand-off position and almost got through. And really Town are hanging on here, and he's got them for offside again. Well, in fact, he hasn't got them for offside. He's got them for that messing about at the play of the ball, but they were standing in front of him, I'm afraid, and they really are their own worst enemies at the moment. Well, I'm not sure whether that was played at the right spot, but it certainly caught Mick Dover on the hop. He was still making his signal there when the ball was played. So now this is Whitehaven going down the left channel, and that's the favoured left channel of Craig Walsh. Whitehaven laid back. Bit of scrappy play, but tied it up by David Fatulofa, and David's winding his way through those would-be Town tacklers. So Whitehaven making quite a bit of progress here now with his set of 6. That's Joel Penny, fetches Howard Hill, throwing the burst. Oh, that's a good play by Craig Walsh there. He really sold that Town defender. So there'll be about 3 tackles left, and Whitehaven are just inside the 20 now. That was a good tackle there on Pip Davidson. Certainly no complaints from here. It was a fair rugby league tackle. Now this is Joel Penny. Oh, he's going to put a kick in. Oh, but right into the hands of Stephen Dawes, a lad I don't know anything about, I'm afraid. But he's certainly a big lad for a winger, and he didn't like that tackle. Now Whitehaven don't have a fullback here, but I noticed Stephen Wood, who's a utility player. He is... well, yeah, that was pulled out there, so... But it wasn't. That wasn't what the penalty was for. The penalty was for not standing square. Now Lucy Sione's tapped that one. And I think if he'd run it at Adam Lester, I'm sure the referee would have advanced it into 10 metres, because Adam Lester wasn't back to the mark. And there was calls there for a penalty from the Town faithful, because they said Paul Davidson was hanging on. Now this is about the closest Town have been in the first 15 minutes or so of this game. Oh, and that's, well, that was well played in the end there by young Craig Calvert. But if there had been a Town player a bit closer, I think if he'd come into tackle him, that ball would have come loose, and it would have been all square. So I don't think Whitehaven will be here for too long, but saying that, of course, they are playing against this very severe wind. It's blowing up and across the pitch from our right to left, so Town very much with the wind in this half. So Whitehaven played down the right channel, and that was Brett McDermott, and I could hear that from up here. It's a good solid tackle, and the referee's checking that Town are onside. Now this is Lucy Sione with a chance to run at the Whitehaven defence, and he's certainly got through the first one, which was Howard Hill, but Craig Walsh done the demolition job. And that was for a push. Well, he did penalise Town for the same thing, so it seems fair. Well, not the best of kicks to touch. I thought with this wind he could have got a bit further afield than that, but anyhow, they're 30 metres away from the Whitehaven line. And they're a lot closer now. They're about 21 metres away with 5 tackles to go. Now that's JT. I believe it's pronounced Tuomala Lager Luger, but I'll stick with JT. Now this is Johnny Limmer going from dummy half. Well, I honestly thought that was on the shoulder there, but yeah, and they are going for the sticks. So it looks as though it's Brett Smith who's wearing the 13 today. Anytime I've seen Brett Smith play, he usually has the headgear on, but that's usually when he's playing in the stand-off position. But is that loose forward today for Town? Yep, and that goes over. So after 15 minutes, it's Now Town 2 and Haven 4. I believe this town strip, I'll stand corrected, but I believe this town strip that they've got on today is actually the away strip. I think they're still sticking with the traditional blue and white for home, and I didn't see any reason why they shouldn't be wearing that today, but anyhow, they've decided to wear the grey and black. Now that one's rolling all along the ground, but nicely picked up there. But oh, well, I think that's John Roper actually. No, in fact, it was the fullback, Martin Wilson. So that seems to have picked Town up a bit. That 2 points. Everybody's wanting the ball. But that's a great tackle there by Brett McDermott, right round the ankles. And a kick downfield, and Gary Broadbent will just let that trickle over the dead ball line, and he does. So that's Tani Lavu is coming on for Dean Burgess. Dean Burgess, of course, was ex-Whitehaven player. And as the afternoon goes on, I'll point out a few more that's gone from one camp to the other, and in some cases back again. Now this is our deal. So that's Mark Cox on for Pip Davidson, and Mark takes his first ball in of the afternoon. Oh, now then, this is Whitehaven going down the left-hand side, but David Seeds couldn't get escape Brett Smith there. Good tackle right round the legs. And that's a good run by Mark Cox, and he'll do that all afternoon. He's very good at loading the ball off as well. Now this is Joel Penny. Oh, no, that's come off a Town player, so it'll be all on. And in fact, it was Johnny Limmer, I think, that it looked like Johnny Limmer anyhow. But that will count as a tackle, of course. So Town just shy of the halfway mark, and 4 tackles left. Certainly a big pack Town have got out today, but Whitehaven are no wilting violets either. They're 2 massive packs. Now this is Neil Fraser. So what will Town do here? Will they spin it out? No, in fact they play it down the centre, and tackles are running out. In fact, this is final tackle. So will they hoist this into the wind? Oh, no, oh well. I was going to say that's a great kick there. I didn't actually spot David Fatulova standing there majestically taking the ball, like as if he was in the slips at cricket. But it was certainly a good move by Town, and if David Fatulova hadn't been in the right position at the right time, I think the Town player could have been through for a try. So this is Whitehaven running out of defence. That's a captain Aaron Lester there. Aaron's in his 8th season now with Whitehaven. Now this is Joel Penny into Mark Cox. We'll look for the offload, but he'll not get a chance with that amount of talent. In fact, he has, and that's just what I was saying he's very, very good at. He really is. He can offload that ball. Now this is Brett McDermott, and some of Whitehaven's approach players are a wee bit hesitant here. But Brett McDermott, I thought Brett McDermott was got up a bit lame there, but he didn't. It was all right, and that was just a kick into touch. So we're approaching the halfway mark, and it's certainly flying by. It's a good old-fashioned traditional Cumbrian derby, this one. Still 4-2 to Haven. So the ball goes in and out, and that's John Roper who came up into the stand-off position. Now Town played out through JT. Oh, now that ball, was it pulled out? In fact, it was pulled out. And this will be a penalty for Town. There certainly was 2 in the tackle, so the referee was spot on there. Now see how far Town can get with this one. I'm sure if they launch it up into this very, very strong wind, that could easily make 30 or 40 metres. Well, they've made about 22 into the bargain there, so but a fresh set to 6 here for Town, and they're only 40 metres away from the Whitehaven posts. Just that 2-point gap, 4-2 to Haven. Notice the bookmakers are giving Town 14-point start. which could prove to be quite a big start in these conditions. Now that was a dummy thrown there by Lee Kiddy, but Whitehaven players know all about Lee Kiddy and the dummies. The Town player turned there, looked to offload, but great gang tackling there by Whitehaven. And Mark Cox was there to make sure that if he did pass the ball, it would have went right into Mark Cox's hands. Now what will Town do here? They're playing it through. Oh, that was a lovely inside pass there by Lucy Sione, and yet another penalty for Town here. Now will they go for the equalising kick? And the referee's saying that the Whitehaven player got hold of the Town player's ankle. Adam Lester, he's come over just to find out why it was given. Now, in fact, they're not going to go for the kick. They fancy the 4 points. Well, they've certainly got the position for it. But that was Brett McDermott there, and in fact, sorry, it was Craig Walsh. So that's 2 tackles gone, and just a couple of metres made. For 4 tackles to go, they're in a perfect position here. Could be worth throwing the dummy. And that man did actually throw the dummy, but not taken. Oh, now this is a good chance. Oh, and he's over. Yeah, the referee's happy with that one. So Town take the lead here. So they've done right not to go for the equalising penalty kick there. So after about, I do say about, because I'm not quite sure what time they got kicked off at here, but it must be around about 21, 22 minutes gone. It's now Town 6 and Whitehaven 4 with the kick to come. So that was Ricky Wright there, wearing number 12, who scored that try to put Town in front. And they certainly take a lot of stopping them big lads from such a close range. You can get your arms around them, but it's very, very difficult to actually to stop them from forcing the ball over the line. Now can Town go even further in front here? Just a little stab there. Oh, and it's a good kick. So that was Brett Smith there. So Town now have a 4-point lead. It's Town 8 and Whitehaven 4. So that's Chris McKinney on for David Fatialofa, and look at that ball coming back in the wind there. It must have come back a good 10 metres there. Well, he really should have been penalised there, and that's what Whitehaven were asking for. He certainly came off the mark, but I'd say the referee's given the benefit of the doubt that he probably didn't hear the instruction. But certainly the referee's letting the game go, and it's nice to see, because it's certainly getting a bit tasty now. This is Sione there that went from dummy half. So Town 40 metres out. Oh well, I'm afraid this man's walking. I'm afraid he's going to walk. There is no way he can stop on the field. The touch judge must have had a perfect view of that one. I'll be very, very surprised if he doesn't walk. Well, in fact, both touch judges are on here. Pete Meadows has come on from the other side, but certainly the touch judge on this side with the yellow flag would have a perfect view of that. Well, if he puts his hand in his pocket, it's red, because you can't sin bin for it. Yeah, he's got his hand in his pocket. It's going to come out red, it's got to. It's either that or a yellow for both players. I'm not sure who done it, actually. It was certainly a good punch. It isn't very often you see Brett Yates. Well, now, well, he's got the yellow card, both players. If I know my, and Adam Lester's coming over here, because you're not supposed to yellow card for foul play. Well, I'm very, very surprised at that. I have seen them yellow card both players when there's been a bit of argy-bargy going on. But he's yellow carded one player there for a punch. I shall make further inquiries on that one, but unless they've changed the rules, it's a new one on me. So we'll see how Whitehaven react to this. And this is Brett McDermott, who suffered the punch. And it's certainly getting tasty here. The Whitehaven supporters are getting behind the team now. Now this is a great chance for Whitehaven to certainly equalise and try and hit the front again. The Town are going to be down to 12 players here for the next 10 minutes. Now that's Craig Walsh, throws a dummy. Oh, straight through. Well, that ball's still available. And I'm wondering if Craig Walsh should have went himself there, but he threw the inside pass and the Town player intercepted it. So that's another big let-off there for Workington. And that's, I take it that's JT over there, and he's certainly having a big game. He's got a big reputation with these Workington supporters. And that was half a punch thrown again there, and going to have to be careful here because, well, he's caught Whitehaven for offside here. Oh, well, these are what the old Cumbrian derbies used to be like. I'm not saying that it's great to see it, but it's nice to see both teams going in passionately. Now, what will happen here? In fact, the referee's, well, he's taken a report from Pete Meadows over there with a red flag. Certainly looking at the Workington player, but now he's looking at a Whitehaven player. So Johnny Limmer is, well, he's getting the Town player out. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a Haven player out as well here. There certainly seems to be something going on in the tackle. And in fact, that's Tani Lavua. Now he's getting the Whitehaven player out. And it's Aaron Lester. I don't know whether Aaron was in the actual incident or he's getting him out. I think he's getting both captains out, yeah. It's good play by the referee. He's probably telling them that, certainly the next one will go in the bin, and I wouldn't be surprised if there is a red card thrown today because, well, in fact, he's given the penalty after all that to Town, so there's some strange decisions going on here today, but anyhow, we'll have to get on with it. And Town 40 metres out, fresh set of 6. This is Dean Vaughan. I didn't actually hear the Dean Vaughan's name given out, but well, that looked to be over the shoulder to me, but well, it certainly wasn't round the neck. It looked to be on the shoulder. I think it was Chris McKinney. And the Town faithful below me shout and get him off. Well, why not? I mean, if it is foul play, it's I suppose he should be sent off, but he certainly won't be red carded for it. And Brett Smith's confident that Town are going to get the penalty, so he's already put the marker down there. So this could push Town a full try and a goal in front. Yeah, and Brett Smith is going for the kick. I make it about 29 minutes gone, but there won't be 29 minutes gone because the game has been held up at least 2 or 3 times. So Brett Smith kicking. He just need to poke it like last time. He's certainly got a nice kicking style. No, and he's missed it actually. I honestly thought it had gone over from where I'm standing here. But both judges were confident it didn't. Now this will be an interesting kick because Whitehaven are kicking against his Gale here and they're going to have to make sure that it goes at least 10 metres. So this is, it looks like Joel Penny's going to be the kicker. Yeah, that's probably wise what he done there. Just kicked it straight down the middle and low. Because certainly if this wind had got behind it, it would have blown it back. Well, I looked at the referee. Well, he's got Whitehaven again here, but offside, I'm afraid. Well, he certainly pinged Town in the first 10 minutes, but now he's doing exactly the same to Whitehaven, and why not? They were certainly in front of him. It makes for a good open game if both teams can learn to get back to 10. Now, this is a marvellous chance here for Workington. Still 8-4 up. Oh, and this is JT. They're showing exactly why Town have fetched him over. He's such a big lad, and he can go through these gaps. Now 4 tackles left, 9 metres away from the Whitehaven post. And Town are really starting to play some great rugby now. They look very, very tentative for the first 10 or 15 minutes, but they've got their act together now. Probably 2 or 3 tackles left here. Look at the referee, no signal yet, so I think there'll be a couple. Oh, and it's Johnny Limmer. Oh, well. Full marks to Johnny Limmer, but that marking by Whitehaven was diabolical. And I'm looking over at the Whitehaven bench, and Steve McCormick will be livid. There was absolutely no marker there. And we've got the water carriers on here, and I think Peter Smith's one of them. And I can just imagine what Peter will be saying. So now after Johnny Limmer. So after about 32 minutes, it's now Town 12 and Whitehaven 4 with a kick to come. So a very lax marking there, but full marks to Town, and certainly Johnny Limmer. We're very used to seeing... and that's gone over. We're very used to seeing Arden Lester doing those tricks, and Johnny Limmer showed that he's just as good. I certainly spotted the gap myself, and it was there for all to see, and Johnny Limmer didn't take any second bidding. So now, all of a sudden, from 4-0 up, Whitehaven are facing a 14-4 deficit. And there'll still be a few minutes left in this half, so as I said before, Town need to get as many points as possible in this first half, and well, they've certainly done it. They've got 14. And if this wind keeps up in the second half, I'm sure Whitehaven will try and do the same. But the last thing Whitehaven want to do now is to let any more points in. Suddenly everything goes reasonably quiet. Now this is Johnny Limmer again from dummy half, but that time he was spotted by Craig Walsh and Aaron Lester. Oh, now that's an intelligent kick. And oh, and it's at the post. Oh, well. If it's your day, it's your day, and good luck to Town. They probably deserve that try. Certainly a very fortunate one, but it hit the post, and I'm afraid Gary Broadbent was absolutely left helpless there. So this is certainly a turn up for the books here at Derwent Park. I'm sure none of the Town faithful will be thinking it's a shock, but it certainly is as far as the bookmakers go. 14-point start, and at the moment they're winning 18-4 with a kick to come. That was certainly a very, very intelligent kick, and I'm sure Whitehaven will be trying those themselves in the second half. Once it hit the post, it was a matter of who wanted it the most, and full marks to the Town player. He got up and plonked it over the line. So can Brett Smith make it 20 points to 4? He certainly can. So I think at 14-4, Whitehaven would have been, well, not happy, but reasonably happy at playing into this strong wind. But I don't think for 1 second now they'll be happy at 20 points to 4. And it's certainly going to be a long road back for Whitehaven. So that was Steve Wood there who came off the wing to kick that. Oh, now Town have knocked on. Can Whitehaven get back into this game in the dying minutes of the first half? And that was Carl Seiss there. So Carl Seiss on for Aaron Lester. So if Whitehaven can make it 20 points to 8 or 20 points to 10 just before the half-time hooter, certainly got a game on, but at the moment it's all Town. Now they're about 10 metres away from the Town posts. They've got about 3 or 4 tackles left. This is Joel Penny, patches it off to Craig Walsh. Now I don't know if that was played at or not. Oh, now. Yeah, in fact the referee says it was played at. You're never sure in those circumstances whether he just hit the player or he actually put a hand out for it. But the referee had no hesitation. He gave Whitehaven another set of 6. So now Whitehaven are 20 metres away from the line. And that was Mark Cox. Mark's looking to turn and offload, but I don't think he's going to. That's great gang tackling by Town there. Certainly got the tails up for this game now. So that's Joel Penny to Stephen Kirkbride. Well, I'm not sure whether Stephen was passing to the centre or the winger there, but in the end... oh, now this is Brett McDermott. Brett straightens up, but he's getting dragged back. And you don't see that very often in rugby league. The referee's got his hand in the air here, so this is final tackle. Oh, that's a lovely kick to the line, but well, nicely fielded there by the Town man. Now, the referee has blown here, so Town are, they cannot, well, I was going to say they can take a quick one, but there isn't a Town player with the ball in his hand, so. But the referee certainly blew that, and he's blown again now. Oh, now that ball's come. Oh, in fact, he says that it was pulled out by a Haven man, so I must admit, Mark Cox got up looking somewhat guilty there. Well, this referee is not missing anything. It's a nice kick to touch there. So that's Kel's lad, Alan McGuinness on. I think that's him now, actually. And Alan was stuck between both teams, but he decided to come to Town, so now that ball's gone forward there, but the referee says no. Well, it certainly went forward and hit another working player, but the referee says no. That's lovely play by Town. They really are giving Whitehaven an exercise here in how to pass the ball. Well, if they score here, it'll be on the wildest dreams of any Town supporter today. I'm pretty sure it will. Well, that ball's just been wiped out. Oh, now then! Well, I thought Craig Walsh could maybe went through the gap there, but he decided to duck back inside. And Whitehaven's flying machine, Craig Calvert, hasn't had a ball all afternoon. Well, in fact, I think he had one. They haven't put any kicks in, obviously, because they're kicking against the wind. Now, Whitehaven have got a penalty here, but time is running out. I reckon there'll be about maybe 3 minutes to go. So they didn't kick the touch for obvious reasons, and this is Howard Hill. Howard straightens up. Still 20 points to 4 to Town. Now this is Chris McKinney there, who nice little run in there by Chris. And the Town players are standing in front of the referee there. I thought he was going to blow them, but he decided not to, and Mark Cox looking to offload. Now which way will Whitehaven go? It looks like they're going to spread it to the left, but then the fetch. Is it Brett McDermott? Fetched someone in on the angle there. In fact, it was David Seeds, and David Seeds has got the ball again. Very tentative approach play by Whitehaven. Well, now then, what's he going to give here? He's given a knock on, so. Yeah, and it's heading feet to Town. Well, when these two teams have a drink after the match, there'll certainly be some good banter going on, because Lee Kiddy and Dean Vaughan have went 7 miles up the road, and of course over the period of the last 2 or 3 years we've had a few coming down this end as well. And then of course you've got Neil Fraser, who's been Whitehaven, Workington, Whitehaven and back to Workington, so there'll certainly be a lot to talk about. And I'm sure Town will get a great send-off here at half-time when this outer finally goes. Oh, now that's better tackling by Whitehaven, and they really picked JT out there. And they go for a kick downfield, looking for a 40-20. And well, he's kept it in play there, but he'll have to be careful. He's got a Town player right after him here. Well, I think that was the second goal there, but the referee says no. Well, if Whitehaven lose this ball here, it could be curtains. They really want safety first here. The score's bad enough at 20 points to 4, but they certainly don't want to let any more points in. And that's Carl Sykes going from dummy half. So that was Jimmy Beaumont on for Ricky Wright. And still this half goes on. It can't be too long to go now. Well, this is Chris McKinney. So can Whitehaven strike back right on the dying throes of the first half. And that was a great tackle on Brett McDermott there by JT. Now this is Mark Cox. No, well, Joel Penny done well to hold on to that. Well, the referee's not having any messing about. But I have a feeling David Sage has had a message here that the half's just about up. But they certainly won't be kicking at goal. It's too far out here. In fact, the referee must have stopped the clock because he's got Johnny Limmer out again here. So I think Whitehaven will kick the touch and then they'll just have... well, in fact, they're not kicking the touch. I wouldn't be surprised if the hooter goes after this tackle. In fact, it does. So full marks to Town. They're the ones who look the hungrier, and after a bit of a shaky 10 or 12 minutes where it was all Whitehaven, certainly the last half hour has been all Workington Town. So we've got a half-time score of Workington Town 20 and Whitehaven 4.
The half-time score in this Northern Wales Cup match development into the secondary scale.
So welcome back to the second half here at Derwent Park, and we've still got this very strong wind blowing here, so Whitehaven will have the use of that for the next 40 minutes. But I'm pretty sure Whitehaven would swap a 20 points to 4 scoreline for in favour of the wind. But if Haven can get that act together and get a very early 6 points, we've certainly got a game on our hands. Because 10 points is not a big score in a big lead in rugby league. But at the moment 16 looks monumental. So I'll check my watch this time and ready for the kick-off. And by me it's 2 minutes past 4 here on this Sunday afternoon in Workington. So we'll finish the game at 16:42. And off we go. And that's a good kick there, but nicely taken there by Carl Sykes. And I'm glad Carl's got a different coloured headgear on to Gary Broadbent, because I do tend to get them mixed up. Now this is Chris McKinney there. Mark Cox. Mark turns, but good tackling there. Chris McKinney in again. Chris is fancying this next 40 minutes or so. Now this is Joel Penny. And that's a useful looking kick. And that's going to go into touch. It does, but of course it'll still be heading feet to Town, but certainly a very useful kick. So I'd imagine when he puts a few 40-20 attempts in, he'll know exactly what to do. Just stabbed it through and kept it very close to the ground, and the wind and the quite firm conditions done the rest. It's in immaculate condition, mind, is the pitch, it really is. So this is Town who drive it away from that scrum. Just 10 metres away from their own posts. Oh, now that ball's come out, and it's play on here. And again, Whitehaven very, very tentative in passing here. It's certainly not the way Steve McCormick drills them, but we'll see what happens now. They fling it out to the right-hand side, but that's a good tackle there, and there's nobody behind Stephen Wood there, and Mark Cox had to make a bit of ground to get up. Now that's Brett McDermott who straightens up. So this is a good chance for Whitehaven here, early minutes of the second half. Yeah, and in fact he's given, I think he's given a forward pass actually. Just see if he gives a signal again there. It looked as though it was a forward pass he'd given rather than a knock on. So scrum goes down. Town 10 metres away from their own try line. Oh, that's good tackle there by Craig Walsh. And now they're only 5 metres away from their own try line. But this fella will take them at least 10. Oh, has that ball come out? Yeah. Oh, in fact, I thought it had come out there, but well, it did come out, but the referee says it went back, so it's good driving there by Town. They've made quite a bit of ground from that set of 6. I think this should be final one, is it? Look at the referee, no, there's a couple to go. Unless he gave it all on. I didn't actually see him wipe the tackle count claim. And that was former Haven favourite Dean Boom Boom Vaughan there, who made a few. Oh, now then. Oh, well, I thought that ball was pulled out there by Craig Walsh, and if it was, it went forward. But the referee's saying he's actually wiped the tackle count clean, so this is the first tackle. I must admit, it looked as though it had been pulled out. And it was certainly pulled out in a forward motion, so it should have been a knock-on. Now this is Carl Sice, a dummy half. Chris McKinney. Chris McKinney offloads it to Joel Penny. And Joel Penny's still not tackled yet. Well, he is now. Courtesy of Jamie Beaumont and Brett Smith. So Carl Sice goes from dummy half, straight through. And he's still going. But poor backing up there by Whitehaven, it's got to be said. Very, very poor backing up. Now they have got Town split. Oh, well, I think that ball should have went out there. They certainly had Town split there, but Stephen Wood decided to straighten up. Oh, that's clever play. This should be a try here. In fact, he is over. I thought he'd been grounded a bit short there. So Whitehaven do strike back. That's 4 minutes of the second half. So Wesley Wilson, who got 2 tries in that infamous grand final at Widnes just a few months ago, strikes back for Whitehaven. So Whitehaven scored the first try of the first half, and they've struck the first try in the second half. We've now got a score of Town 20, Whitehaven 8. And we'll just see what sort of a job Joel Penny makes of this. He's certainly got the wind behind him. And it is blowing up the pitch and across towards us, so if he can just launch it into the wind will do the rest. I don't know whether the referee stopped the clock yet. They normally stop it after 1 minute. But anyhow, Joel Penny's coming in now. Let's see what he does. Looks good. Oh, well, just across the front of the sticks there. So it remains at Town 20 and Haven 8. So it might only be 3 tries to 2, but it's still a 12-point lead, and Whitehaven are going to have to score at least 3 times to get in front here. And which way the wind is, they need to be a bit nearer to the sticks than that one. It certainly didn't look to be too far out. It just sailed just past the near upright to us. So we'll see what sort of kick-off we get here. Launches it into the wind. That's a clever kick. Oh, well, it's a little bit of luck for Whitehaven there, but that was an excellent kick-off there by Lucy Sione. So this is Chris McKinney coming down in the left centre channel, but Brett Smith put his shoulder into him there. That was an excellent tackle. And this is Joel Penny directing things. Mark Cox offloads. And I thought maybe David Seach could have offloaded that there, but he decided not to. He probably thought the tackle was coming in, so better hang on. So final tackle. Whitehaven are 30 metres away from the Town post. Oh, now get underneath that one. That's a good kick. Oh, but beautifully taken there. I think it was by Sione actually, who actually plays full back for Town normally, but wearing the 6 today. So Town just happy to play safety first, and why not? They had an excellent 30 minutes in that first 40. And now they're spreading it out wide. And this JT, for such a big man, he's played all the game up the press. I don't know whether he'll get a break or not. But this is Jonathan Roper who's looking for a break, and that ball's come out. So I'm just wondering whether Town have got this ball back here. They're claiming it. And Town are offside here, but the referee hasn't spotted it. And this is Howard Hill. And the Whitehaven faithful are getting behind them now and urging him to narrow this gap. Oh, that was a good run by Chris McKinney, but Johnny Limmer managed to hold on to one leg there and stop the move. Oh, this is... that ball's gone forward anyhow, and Johnny Limmer's reclaimed it. Well, that was a good chance there for Whitehaven to strike back. Certainly if they'd scored under the sticks there, it would have been 20 points to 14 with the kick, and we really would have had a game. But it's certainly been an exciting derby. And so far the bookmakers are a mile out, and Whitehaven were offside at that play of the ball there. But I noticed the referee took him back. Oh, that's a great hit there. And Mark Cox would feel that one. He got hold of JT, but he shrugged him off. Now this ball will come back, and it is coming back. Oh, this is a penalty for Town, right in front of the sticks, and it could be a yellow card. Well, he hasn't given the yellow card, but he's given a penalty. So this is going to put Whitehaven as far back as ever, because it'll put Town 3 scores clear again. And I'm just looking there on the far side. Jonathan Roper's. He seems to be having words with the water carrier there from Town. I don't know whether he's injured or... Oh, it looks as though he's maybe got a cut or something. He's doing something to his face. And I noticed David Fatialofa back on there, so probably David will play the next 30-odd minutes. So 10 minutes of the second half gone, 30 to go, and it's 20 points to 8 to Town. And that's 22-8 to Town. I think Whitehaven were rather fortunate there, because they could easily have had a player yellow carded there, and mind you, Town scored 2 tries, I think, while they were down to 12, so it just shows you. I think at times when you do go down to 12, it actually it makes you play harder, makes you tackle harder. And Pip Davidson's back on there as well, so Whitehaven back with their starting props. But I notice Adam Lester isn't back on. I'm not sure whether Adam Lester's injured or... Oh, that's a good kick, but well taken there by probably my man of the match, Sione. And after this display, I don't think he'll be playing full-back too many times this season. I think he's found his niche here with the number 6 jersey. Oh, and that's good offload by Town. So the tackle goes in eventually, and that was Brett McDermott who launched himself there at JT, and he done just enough to stop him. So, oh no, well, that was well held there by Sione. Lays it inside, and that was Neil Fraser. Now final tackle. Will he launch it up into the wind? In fact, they're running it. But unfortunately for Town, it was probably Whitehaven's best tackler, David Sage, and there's not many get past David Sage. It doesn't matter how big they are. So 14 minutes gone, the second half. Still 22 points to 8 to Town. This is Paul Davidson. And he turned and looked to offload, but decided not to. And a call there by the Whitehaven supporters that they were all offside. Oh, wow. They'll have to pick that up. Well, Gary Broadbent dropped that, but you've got to make the ball dead, because if a Town player had come in and picked that up, he had a simple 40-metre romp there to underneath the sticks. But at least Gary had the presence to kick the ball and make it dead. So the ball goes in. Lee Kitty. And Lee Kitty's going to be dummy half here. Because Lee Kitty had a brilliant game down at the recreation ground last season in his corresponding fixture, where Town were absolutely brushed aside, and it really looked like dark days. And I'm sure Jed must have wondered what he'd come into, but he certainly picked his team up, and he's found some real stars in some of these lads he's fetched over from New Zealand. And Town still looking good here, they really are. They're playing the rugby, and here comes the kick. Oh, and that's not going to go dead. And Gary Broadbent does well there to he dodged in between the two tacklers and made enough sufficient ground so he wasn't grounded over his own try line. Now, will Whitehaven put one of these kicks in for their flying machine? I noticed they're dropping the wingers back. And that's all well and good, of course, but it means if Whitehaven spin it across the line, if they can get their passing game together, they're bound to find a gap. I'm looking down here below me, and the right winger is a mile back. Now, Whitehaven still with tackles left, but Town doing the tackling. This is David Fatialofa. Oh, and it's a knock on. And a rather unnecessary pat on the head there, I'm afraid. And I would have said that whichever side had done it. I do not like to see that. That was number 10 there. That was Dean Burgess patting David Fatialofa on the head. I don't like to see it on either side. It can cause trouble. Well, there was calls for a knock-on, but it wasn't. It was just a ricochet with the legs between the front row and the second row there. Now can Town score the first try of the second half? 22-8 up. So I'm sure Whitehaven are pleased to see him go off, JT, but he's gone off. And that was Johnny Limmer there, going from dummy half, and he almost got over. Now we'll see Only try it. No, in fact, he lays it off to the right, and there's a ball coming back into the middle. Well, this will be a penalty. And this will do Town. It's going to pull that 4 points back that they let in at the start of the second half. I'm sure they'll kick a goal here. So Brett Smith will put probably a bit more effort into this one. He was kicking beautifully in the first half with the wind behind him. He'll really need to get underneath this one. Oh, and that's no problem. Yep. In fact, I think if anything, I think the wind seems to be sort of changing over slightly. I think it's blowing more across the pitch now. So from 20 points to 4 at half time, it's now 24-8, and Town has still got this 14-point lead. Sorry, 16-point lead, I should say. So this is Steve Wood, and well, a kind bounce in the end there, and nicely fielded. But good tackling there by Whitehaven. Nice run in there by Dean Burgess, another lad who came to the recreation ground and couldn't get his place, so came back to town, and they've certainly got a good player. Now this is Sione. Oh, that's a nice long pass out. Oh, but the ball's been dropped, and that'll be a knock on. It was rather fortunate there, because if Stephen would have just been a couple of yards nearer, he could have hacked that on, and I'm sure it would have been a try for Whitehaven. They certainly could do with one. Town still with his 16-point lead, 24 points to 8, and I make it halfway. Well, in fact, we're about 18 minutes into the second half. So 22 to go, and Whitehaven really need to be scoring at something like a point a minute to win this game. Oh, that's Howard Hill. Tackle by Dane Vaughan. And Dane Vaughan's in that tackle as well. Certainly a solid player is Dane. He wasn't called boom boom for nothing. Oh, well, that was good. Oh, now Brett Smith's broken his arm by the looks of this. Now this is a chance for Whitehaven. Can they get the ball out? They can't. How many tackles left, sir? Well, there's certainly more than one. And Brett Smith's in bad shape here. So Town are down to 12 men. And I'm afraid they've made a hash of that. And they had a one-man overlap there. I don't know whether they realised it or not, but Brett Smith looks in bad shape. There was nothing wrong with the tackle. He certainly went in hard, and I think he has had trouble with his arm as well as Brett. I know he missed a fair bit of last season. He certainly looks sick. He's had a very, very big game for Town and all, as Brett Smith. Well, they're carrying on there, and this could be interesting if Town fetch the ball over this side. And of course, they can't fetch a substitute on until Brett Smith gets off. Yeah, he looks in bad shape, does Brett. I wish you all the best, mate. So now this is Neil Fraser. And the chance of Town go up, and why not? And that's great play. And this is Johnny Limmer on the break. But Brett McDermott took him around the ankles, but he still wasn't tackled, and he was quite right to get back up. They've made a lot of ground there of Town. Oh, they could be in. Well, they are in, and they deserve it. This is certainly a black day for Whitehaven. And that was Craig Coward kicking the ball away in disgust. Well, I would say that's the winning try. It's got to be. I can't imagine Whitehaven scoring this second half now. Their heads are down, and they're looking a bit sorry for themselves. So that was Matthew Johnson there, the number 2 for Workington Town. But certainly Johnny Limmer and Lucy Sione have really opened up this Whitehaven defence. And I make it 21 minutes gone, so we're inside the final quarter of the game. The kicker comes in, launches it into the wind, but it'll probably bounce back to where to kick it from. In fact, the ball's almost found its way to the halfway mark there. So, what response from Whitehaven? 28-8 down. And it looks here as though Craig Walsh is going to kick off. Whitehaven certainly missed the skipper here, Adam Lester. I can only think he's injured. So this is Craig Walsh, launches the ball. Oh, and out on the full. So there's absolutely nothing going right here for the low-siders. I'm sure Town will just punt this ball into touch and take a set of 6 and let Whitehaven have the ball down on their own try line. There hasn't been one kick being put in today for Craig Calvert. And again, some proper tackling there by the Whitehaven forwards. They're maybe starting to tire somewhat. Oh, that's a great tackle though by Brett McDermott. He really launched himself there at that player. In fact, that was Tani Lavua. Oh, there's a chance here for Town yet again. Well, Gary Broadbent just done just enough there to stop Neil Fraser from going in. And final tackle, will they maybe pop a goal over? I think they're going to. No, I think it's gone under the bar and dead, so Whitehaven be looking for a, well, they should be looking for a quick 20 restart here. And Craig Calvert's had enough. I think he's got frostbite. He's come in here for a run from dummy half. Well, this time last season, Whitehaven Centre can only be described as a strong A team up here and won fairly comfortably, but certainly Town have got their act together since then. And on this form, you've got to fancy Town at 5-1 to win National League 2. Now that's an offload in the tackle there. But Paul Davidson's dropped that and it'll be 2 knock-ons. And the referee's shown you that. So it'll be head and feet to Town. And the Whitehaven players are standing hands on hips and looking at each other. 16 minutes to go, and Whitehaven are 20 points down here, 28 points to 8. And it looks like Chris McKinney's coming back on there. I didn't see anybody going off, but no doubt the announcer will give it out. Well, this will do Town because it's eating into the time, is this? Oh, no, that'll be... No, the referee says it went back, so... I've seen them giving us knock on, and just depends on the referee. So certainly Lee Kiddy and Dean Vaughan will be... have the bragging rights around Whitehaven tonight if they're out for a drink. And that was Dean Burgess there. It's a nice run there by Dean. He's certainly filled up. And an ideal build for a prop forward. So Town do the cross kick and it's coming back in the wind. But it was fielded in the end there. Now this is Craig Calvert, but he's got 3 or 4 Town players in front of him there. Stephen Wood. And this is Gary Broadbent going from dummy half here, but just makes a few metres before this excellent Town defence pull into the ground. Now Joel Penny looks for a 40-20, that's on the full, I'm afraid. Yeah. And a few donkey impressions go up there. It'll be interesting to see how Whitehaven fare next Sunday. They've got Barra down at the recreation ground in the next phase of this Northern Trains Cup. So the ball goes in, held at the back, a la rugby union. Messing about with the play of the ball. And David Sage has assumed captaincy, I noticed there. He's asking the referee why the penalty. And he said, well, I'll tell you why, because Paul Davidson was messing about with the play of the ball. They're going for the kick? No. In fact, they fancy another try here. It's just been a try each this second half. It's 4 tries to 2 to Workington. And But there's a 20-point gap there simply because Brett Smith kicked 6 goals and Whitehaven have yet to find one. And Town down that left side there, and they're looking very, very dangerous. But Whitehaven pushed them back a few more yards before the referee shouts held. Oh, and that looked like a little knock on there, but no, not given. That was a lovely delayed pass there by Sione. Just showed the ball twice and then let it go. Now he's going from dummy half here. And, oh, well, that could have been an interception there, but in the end, I think Town could be in it. Well, he's hit the flag, in fact, so this should be a 20-metre restart for Whitehaven here. Oh, in fact, he's given a scrum down. Yeah, well, of course, that's right. Yeah, he's actually at the post, so. So the scrum goes down, fed by Joel Penny. Whitehaven having trouble getting that. In fact, Town actually got that ball out there, and the referees giving Whitehaven a second go. They do tend to do that. I've never understood that, because it was fair play on Town's part there. The push, and they got the ball out, and the referees ultimately give them another go at it. Oh, but Gary Broadbent's having a nightmare, but well, that'll be 2 knock-ons, and he should be heading feet to Town. There's no damage done. I'm afraid Gary's having a nightmare. He's usually so careful under those, under any pass or high ball, but just hasn't been his day today. But there again, it hasn't been Whitehaven's day either. So which way will Town go here from this scrum? Time's rapidly running out within the final 10 minutes here. And that was a nice dummy there, but not taken. They've got a nice line out here of Town. And that looks like Dean Burgess there, and he was presenting the ball so he could plonk it over the line, but in the end he took the tackle. And Johnny Limmer. And again another missed tackle there by Whitehaven. And you really fancy Town to score their 5th try here. But that's good tackling there by Whitehaven. And this wind's really whipping around now. Now what will they do here? And they're going to offload this, and they have, but the referee says there's a knock on, so Whitehaven will get a scrum, but 10 metres away from their own line. And I notice some people are starting to file out now. No doubt most of them, the majority of them will be Whitehaven supporters, because they've been very disappointed with this display this afternoon. Started so well, trying the first few minutes, and but since then it's gone steadily downhill. And working will be away at Gateshead next Sunday. It'll be interesting to see what sort of team Gateshead are, because they've signed a lot of players on from Australia and that part of the world. And Joel Penny can't get the ball in there, but we'll get it in this turn. And he goes and out. Oh, and that's a good run by Joel Penny there, but in the end, good tackling by Town. They really are covering for each other. Oh, and Joel Penny's looks as though he's got a bit of a limp there. Well, it's I don't know if it can get any worse this game as far as Whitehaven go. I'm sure it'll be delighted for Town, but as for Whitehaven, I'm afraid it's a bad day at the office. And Town looking for this 5th try, and you've got to say they probably deserve it. But that's holding the man up in the tackle there. And they're going down the blind side. The ball goes dead, so this will be a 20-metre restart. It was a nice kick that as well. It was just a little bit heavy. He just nicely put it between the two Whitehaven players, and the winger was he was ready for it, but just a little bit too much beef on it. So the referee holds the clock up, but it doesn't really matter. There's only about 7 minutes to go. So eventually we get the ball back and into play, and David Fatialofa drives in, but and that's another knock on. Oh dear. It's a right hapless performance just by Whitehaven, I'm afraid. It's very similar to the one down at Recreation Town last season, where Workington couldn't put a foot right, and Whitehaven played absolutely superb that day. But certainly the roles have been reversed in this game. I don't think Workington will be 5-1 to win National League 2 when the bookies reassess this performance. Certainly look a good each way bet at 5-1. If they finish in the top 3, you're going to get your money back. So Town go down the right hand side, and that was Neil Fraser. Johnny Limmer from dummy half, and that's Tani Lavu back on. And very close to being over the line here, but he's held up actually. He must be very, very close to that line. Now will they go from dummy half? No, in fact they launch it, and it's a little kick downfield, and that will roll dead. So 6 minutes to go, 2 balls on the field. And that looked like David Seeds there, who was having a run up the centre. It's Carl Seiss from dummy half. Well, Brett McDermott is in splendid isolation there. There was absolutely no backing up at all. And something's gone on in this tackle here, we'll see. Well, John Roper was going to throw the ball at him there, which isn't a wise thing to do. It looks as though Town will probably get this penalty here. And he's getting Brett McDermott out here. No, he's getting both players out actually, so. So it looks like Town are going to win this, the first Cumbrian derby of 2005 by 20 points. Anybody that took them on the coupon with 14 are probably knew at half time that they've certainly got one game up. Well, this is Paul Davidson. And now there's a little bit of nonsense going on in the tackles now, and there's really no need for it. The game's won and lost. Well, can Whitehaven finish with a flourish and try and at least get into double figures? And this is David Seeds. Well, he's passed it back, yeah. It's a good decision by the touch. Well, now he's given a knock on, so I think he's coming to see the touch judge here, because yeah, he's giving it to Town. So JT gets the man of the match, but it could easily have been any of the other two Kiwis there, because for me, Lucy Sione and Johnny Limmer have been outstanding today. I'm not sure how many sets of 6 Whitehaven have completed in this game, but I think you can probably count it on one hand. And Whitehaven are a mile offside here, and he could have blown them, but he didn't. And good offload in the tackle. Oh no, was that a one-on-one? No. Mind you, I don't think poor old David Fox would have got too far, mind you, but that was a great run in there by Tani Lavua. So this is Town, played down the right-hand side. And that was John Roper there, who's now... Oh, now there's a little bit of afters going on here. And I think you'll find these two players will probably be sin-binned. I don't think the referee will draw a red card this late in the game. That is one of the times you can draw yellow cards, but it's got to be for both players, as far as I know. I think it was 6-1 half, doesn't he? He might as well just lay them on now. There's very little time left. I make it 2 minutes, plus any injury time, probably maybe 3 minutes at the most. I don't think the referee should make too much out of this, really. It was what they call handbags at 6 paces, really. So he's going to get John Roper and Chris McKinney out and tell them to kiss and make up. Now, sure he would have yellow carded them by now. He's just giving them a dressing down, and he'll give Town the penalty. And if Town can fetch the 30-point mark up here, I'm sure this ground will erupt. Oh, in fact, he's given it to Whitehaven. Well, I suppose he's done that on the report he's got from Mr. Meadows there with a red flag. It isn't very often you see a team penalised while they're in possession, but that was the way that one went. And look at the Town boys there, they're absolutely up for this game, they really are, every one of them. They're in a perfect line and they're running the angles and everything. Now this is Paul Davidson. And he's literally wrestled to the ground there, but very fairly by Dean Burgess. Well, I wasn't sure that was a knock-on actually. I thought it hit his feet there, his hands and his feet, but referee thinks otherwise. And that's yet another set of 6 that Whitehaven have not completed. And David Sage looks up to the sky. So Town go from the base of the scrum in the shape of JT. Now I make it time now, so there might be a minute of injury time, probably time for this set of 6, and I would imagine the hooter will be going. And that was Martin Wilson there, who lost his feet a couple of times, but finally regained them, and the Town going to finish with a flourish here. Well, the balls went back, but Town are very, very good at that. They do lay the ball back, and as long as there's someone there, it's a good move. It's when you lay it back and none of your teammates are aware of it. Now they've got a nice, well, in fact, they had a lovely line out there, but they've turned it back inside. And there goes the hooter. So the first derby of the new season, and it goes to Workington, and I noticed Spike and his counterpart are hugging each other there on the speedway track. And it's finished up with a score of Workington Town 28 and Whitehaven 8.
Person out there who disappointed me from a coaching perspective, or all the people that they played for, because the club now has really and truly got a team that can compete.
Of course I'm disappointed, yeah. I don't like getting beat in any game. Certainly don't like getting beaten, well beaten, and you don't like getting beaten in a local derby.
The process of winning for us has been a lot of work on the Whitehaven team. We've probably had the benefit of knowing their players a little bit better than what they know ours. And I guess that's one of the benefits for not playing too many pre-season games. But next time we play, Steve will have had that tape and he'll be looking at things, and I guess he'll have some plays for us. I thought today we applied the game plan. It worked for us. The guys, in terms of the way that they committed themselves to the cause today, the way they committed themselves to the game, that just brought it all home for me, and how good rugby league is in Cumbria. And I think that was a true Cumbrian derby.
Yeah, there's always things to work on. You know, we don't go overboard when we win. I'm not going to go overboard when we get beat, but I'm looking for a reaction next week against Barrow.
I think both NL1 and NL2 this year are going to be exciting. There's going to be some very good rugby league played because the coaching's getting better. The ability to be able to put structures and systems in place that are of a Super League standard, I think, is becoming more pronounced in all the teams. So it's going to be a real arm wrestle this year. I think our players are, they're happy, but they've also got a professional view about the win too. They'll have a bit of celebration, but they also know that the process for next week starts tomorrow night. So we're away again.